Hello, I'm here again with yet another book video, and today I'm going to be doing the book recommendation tag. Do you remember in 2016 when everyone used to do those tag videos? They would tag people to do it, like a beauty tag or makeup tag, something like that, and they would tag those people and then those people would do the video answering the same questions. Steph put together a book recommendation tag, and she didn't tag anyone, she just like, please do it if you want to. So I'm gonna do it today because I thought it was the most like amazing idea ever. So I have the questions on my phone. Question number 1, a book you tell people is your favorite. Easy. Magnolia Parks by Hastings. I'm just gonna show you the cover. If you like Gossip Girl, if you like high society, you would love this book. Some people say that it's too toxic for them, but I think it makes for such a good story. This centers around Magnolia and BJ, and they have been together since they were kids until BJ cheats on her, but they always seem to make their way back to each other, but they always end up breaking each other's hearts. So BJ will cheat on her or sleep with every other girl. She's like a serial dater. It's just like London, high society, Gossip Girl, toxic relationships, found family. It is amazing and I love it. There's 3 other books in the series and Justin needs to release the next one immediately. 2, a book that is your guilty pleasure. This has been my guilty pleasure since I was literally in middle school. You might look at me funny whenever I hold it up to you, but The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. There's just something about this book that just makes me feel like a kid again. I think because this is one of the books I read in middle school that like just got me hooked on reading. If you don't know what The Fault in Our Stars was, it follows Augustus and Hazel. And Hazel unfortunately has cancer and Gus is in remission, and they meet at a support group and they end up falling in love. It is just amazing. However, it will rip your heart out. There is a movie with Ansel Elgort and Shailene Woodley. It is a guilty pleasure book. Next, a book everyone loved but you didn't. This is a series. I have yet to read the other 2 books, but the first book is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, the Dreamland Billionaire series. Personally for me, I thought the main character was very, very unlikable. I did not like her at all. Her name is Zara. She just acted like she was a child to me and I could not stand it at all. I hated it so much. And then it would literally go into like a smut scene right after and I would feel so uncomfortable. I also just like, the second and third are even bigger than this too, and I just don't think that a romance needs to be that big. I ended up getting through this, but it took me literally forever to get through it, and I did not like it at all. I think I rated it like 2 stars. A book you read the fastest. Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, 100%. This is a thriller book. If you've never read an Alice Feeney book, pick this one up immediately. I read this in like a day and a half, and it is about Adam and Amelia. Adam has face blindness, which is when he can't recognize faces. He can't even recognize himself in the mirror, so he can never recognize his own wife. Amelia wins a trip at work and they go because their marriage is kind of crumbling and she thinks that this trip will save it. But when they get there, a bunch of weird things start happening and it's clear that somebody does not want them there. And I don't want to say anymore because I feel like it might give something away. I was shocked when I read this. My mouth was literally like on the floor and I was like, was not expecting it at all. I hate whenever in thrillers you can expect it. Could not expect that at all. A book that deserves more hype. I posted about this on my TikTok a while ago. The author is very new. This is her debut novel, Situationships. A situationship is basically whenever you are just with this guy, you're basically dating, you might not be dating at all, you do not have a title, they refuse to put a title on it, but you just cannot shake them. If you've ever had a situationship, read this book. Call It What You Want by Alyssa. It literally is so relatable. I'm not even kidding if you've ever been in a situationship in your life. This follows Sloane from college when she meets Ethan all the way until her life in New York City, and it was amazing. I'm not kidding. It's so relatable. I just want to read like a little excerpt of what it's about. Call It What You Want is a nostalgic ode to all almost love stories. The ones with no label, no title, but an undeniable intensity. Call it what you want. Was it love? And then her little author's note right here, it says her debut novel is a love letter to all the girls who have had a hard time getting over someone they never dated. Read it. A book that is becoming a movie or TV show. It is currently August 11th and this came out today, so I'm gonna put it in. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I watched the movie last night. Watch it. If you have not watched that movie, watch the damn movie. I don't think I could have picked someone better to play Alex or Henry in that movie. If you don't know what it's about, it is about Alex, who is the first son of the President of the United States, and Henry, who is the Prince of Wales. He is the spare to the throne. And they hate each other, but they don't. and they end up falling in love, and it just goes throughout their whole entire love story, why they can't be together, will they end up together. It is just an amazing story. I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I did, but I really, really, really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure I was gonna like it as much as I did because politics are in it, and I just have trouble reading politics because I have a pea brain, but it was really good. A book you have reread the most. This is the 4th book of the Magnolia Park series, and it is Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. So basically, in the Magnolia Park series, so far book 1 and 3 follow Magnolia and BJ and their friend group, and then 2 and 4 follow Daisy and Christian, who is a part of that friend group. This book has so many quotes, and oh my god, basically Daisy and Christian are perfect for each other, and Julian, who is Daisy's older brother, is a gang lord, and you think that he has a heart of black. Newsflash, he doesn't. He falls in love. Read it. A book from a genre you don't usually read. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a memoir, and I usually don't like nonfiction or memoirs or anything like that because I love escaping into a delusional fake world. But this book, for where I'm at right now in my life, I graduated college a year ago, and I am back living home with my parents while I save money so I can eventually move out. And this just captures your young 20s into adulthood so well, and it made me feel so seen. And a big thing about it is your friendships. One of the quotes in here is, "Nearly everything I know about love I learned in my long-term friendships with women." And that was just so beautiful to me, and it is so true, and this book has really, really, really made me feel okay about the period that I'm at in my life, and I love it so much. A book that deserves all the hype it gets. Better Than the Movies by Miss Lynn Painter. This is a YA novel, but do not let that scare you because it is the cutest freaking book ever. And if you like rom-coms, you are going to literally fall in love with this book. This follows Liz and Wes, and they are neighbors. It's kind of an enemies to lovers, childhood friends to lovers. Wes is a pain in the butt to Liz, and Liz is in love with this kid named Michael. She has been for a while. She recruits Wes to help her get Michael to go to the prom with her. And I think you might guess what happens, but it is amazing. They grow closer. It's a little bit of a slow burn because you just get to watch their relationship blossom, and it is so cute. And if you're like me and you absolutely love rom-coms, you'll love this book also because in the beginning of every single chapter, there is a quote from a rom-com in it. This one's from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is one of the best movies ever made. A book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is a childhood friends to lovers, and oh my gosh, it is so good. If I could make a boy and make him my dream husband, it would probably be Elliot from this book. He is so sweet. Basically, Macy and Elliot have been friends since they were younger, and they would always read together, and something happens and they stop talking, but then they run into each other years and years later. It is told in alternate timelines, and you figure out what happened that night whenever they completely cut each other off and stopped talking. This book literally is just so amazing, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to get into reading. A book that has your favorite characters. Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the 2nd book in the Chestnut Spring series, and this follows Cade and Willa. Their banter is amazing. Willa as the woman is amazing. She is just so headstrong, and she knows what she wants, and she goes and gets it, and I love her for that. And Cade, I don't even know what to say about him. If you read this book, you know. Oh my god, he is like the most amazing boyfriend ever. Like, I fell in love with him. This is about Cade and Willa, and this is the 2nd book, so Willa is Summer's best friend from the 1st book, and Cade is Rhett's brother from the 1st book. And he needs a nanny because he is a single father, and he is a hard worker, and she comes in, she becomes the nanny, and they fall in love, as you can guess. He's very grumpy, she is sunshine. Grumpy Sunshine, it is so good. They are just like my comfort characters. A book you wish you could live in. I'm going to go to the 1st book, which is Flawless, again by Elsie Silver. This is just a small town romance, and something about it makes me want to live there in Chestnut Springs. I don't know if it's the name, but I love the name Chestnut Springs. And personally, I've lived in the suburbs my whole life in a small town, but it's just like nothing like this. Like, I feel like I would love it here, and it's like very farmy, country, which I don't think I usually like, but if these boys are there, I will be living there. It is so amazing, and just like how they describe everything, it feels like home, and I would love to live here. A book you thought you would hate, but you ended up loving. When I first got into reading, I like have never really read like a fantasy book or anything like that. So when I first read one, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but I ended up loving it. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. If you ever read The Life of Adelaide by Life of Adeline? Life of Adelaide? I don't know, Blake Lively's in it. This is kind of similar to that. In 1714, Adeline meets a stranger and she makes a mistake and she makes a wish. And that consequence is she will never be remembered by anyone she sees. So basically, if you would be talking to her on the street, then you turn around to say something to someone, you turn back, you would have no clue who it is standing in front of you. It was crazy. The romance in this was also very interesting. Just an interesting book all around, and I want to read more of V.E. Schwab's book, definitely. A book that made you cry. Okay, this is written a little childish, and the author actually just announced she is releasing a second book, and I'm very excited. But if you want to cry, read A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Basically, childhood friends to lovers. It's about Rune and Poppy, and all of a sudden, you know, they're in love, they're kids, and they're just so in love with each other, but then something happens and Poppy just completely stops talking to him, and then Rune finds out the reason 2 years later and is absolutely heartbroken, and it just goes through their moments together, and I'm not kidding, the end, I don't really cry over books. I bawled my eyes out reading this book, so that is telltale enough for you. And then a book you wish you could read for the first time. My Policeman by Bethany Roberts. Okay, this is a movie now, and it stars Harry Styles, and he played this role perfectly. But basically it is set in 1950s Brighton, which is in the United Kingdom, I believe. And Marion catches sight of Tom, who is her best friend's big brother, and she is just completely smitten with him, and she is determined to be with him. And a few years later, Tom meets Patrick, who is a sophisticated curator at the Brighton Museum. Tom is a policeman, and in this age, it is safer for him to marry Marion than it is to be with Patrick, so they have to share him in a way. And it is so good. It is so beautifully written. If you haven't read this book or seen this movie, I really recommend it. I read the book before I watched the movie, and I highly recommend that because it really just brought it all together. Harry Styles was amazing in it, because what isn't Harry Styles amazing at? But this book is so beautiful, and I really recommend it. So yeah, that was the book recommendation tag. I had so much fun going to my bookshelf and picking out all these books, and it made me want to reread a lot of these books because I haven't really thought about them in a while. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, please like, please subscribe. This was so much fun to make, and I will see you next time. Bye!